Dean got up and he said, I'm going to go make coffee, get up to watch the Rose Parade or something along those lines. I heard him in the kitchen. And then I heard him at the foot of the bed, and there was like a thump on the bed. And I assumed, because he's always joking around, or used to be, that he was just trying to wake me up. And then he was hiding on the floor for when I got up. But I didn't hear him get up, and I didn't hear him move. I kind of heard like some rustling. And so finally I think I even yelled at him, and I said, stop it, cut it out, whatever. But then when I looked up, I saw him, and I could just tell something wasn't right. So I went over to look, and he was all droopy and I called the paramedics, and they came in, and they started with all this stuff all over him. Took him to St. Joe's, and they wouldn't let us, they wouldn't let me go in the ambulance, and they wouldn't let us in once we got there because he was so critical that they needed someone on him at that time. My son and I walked in there, and the doctor said, we can give him he's had a massive stroke. We see it. We can give him a medication that's either going to stop the stroke where it's at, or there is a chance that it's fatal. And we really don't know. And there's 24 hours in which to monitor and closely monitor until we know if it is successful or not. So I said, I don't know, I'm gonna call. And he said, no, you can't call anybody. Literally, you need to make a decision right now, because the further away we get from the time of the stroke, the worse it is, the worse he's gonna get. So you need to make a decision. So I said to the doctor, what would you do? And he said, well, I'm a 51-year-old man myself. And if that was me, I would want my wife to go ahead, because otherwise, how you see him right now, that's how you're gonna see him. And I wouldn't want her to push. I would rather die than have her pushing me around and feeding me and wiping me and all that. So I signed. And we waited the 24 hours. Aphasia is something we didn't even, I heard them talking aphasia, like the nurses and the doctors and all that, but we were because it was so massive, and because the neurologist had come in and said, I kept saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Surgery? Is there something? What are we doing? And she said to me one day that he's alive. That's as good as it's going to get. So just be thankful for that. And once we got him home, it was because he really couldn't communicate. I had kind of come up with a language with him, like, press my finger once for yes, twice for no, blink for me. I took out my children's books from when they were little and started reading those books, and it was a day by day, and now when I look at it, it's kind of a blur. Yeah. But it was learning to communicate with him, because Dean had always been a talker. That's what he did for a living. He was in sales, and all he did was sales presentations, and now he couldn't even say coffee, or you'd show him a picture, and it was difficult. It was difficult, which then of course changed our lives.
Yes.
He was the breadwinner. I worked, but what I did was did not pay the house. I got on the internet, and I did research, and I spoke to everyone and anyone, and I tried to figure out, and when it didn't seem like it was working, I would just go somewhere else. And I took 3 months off of work, and I took care of him, and I would read to him, and, kind of all that stuff. And then I came across the Northridge group, and then there was an angel at St. Vincent's where he was doing speech therapy. And that other speech therapist had already told me, he's as far as he's going to get. And she told me, don't believe that. He now needs to get into groups. You need to let him go. Don't answer his questions. Don't complete his sentences for him. So I would always say, well, what can I do? Mm-hmm. And so I've done some research, and now he's in that aphasia book club, which has been, because they all know each other, and they know to be respectful of letting each other finish their sentences, and they all have the time, and they've grown a bond, and so they have, he has a place where he can go. It isn't always which is really nice. And that's a part that works for him and works for me. No, I didn't even know. I would have. Had I known. I mean, I had read some studies about museums and music. And so, I got earphones for him. I started playing his music for him and having him sing the songs so that he would get the words back. We did the ABC song for a long, long time until, finally one day, I told the doctor, watch. And he sang the song. And it, you would think 51-year-old man singing the ABCs, but that was like, now, you see him and if you didn't know him before, you really wouldn't know. You would just think, oh, he's kind of shy. He has a lisp maybe, or he has a stuttering problem. You would never know the man that he was before. At this point, I feel like we're so blessed to be where we are. But for him, that he gets the confidence that he needs, just by doing another thing. I think the more that you keep putting yourself out there in the world, it must be terrifying. It must be terrifying. It's hard to be a caretaker, but sometimes, you go, oh, you got to take care of that. But it's hard to be the patient who can't advocate for themselves and can't go out there and say, I want to try something else. And sometimes he doesn't want to try it. And so just trying it. And if it works for him and it can work for others, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Have you ever tried neurofeedback before?
No.
Have you ever heard of neurofeedback before?
No.
We'll be doing neurofeedback on you, and what that entails is putting sensors up here and little clip sensors on your ears, and all you have to do is relax. It's really a very easy intervention, and with luck we'll be able to hopefully make some impact on your language processing. What kind of thing would you see in your future if this absolutely perfectly works for you? What does that mean to you?
I go back to work.
Yeah, doing.
I sold photovoltaics, solar, large jobs. They were like I'm sorry, they were like open land.
Oh.
Big jobs.
How long were you in photovoltaic sales?
About 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The last 4 years have been. It's getting bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The last 4 years, that's when more projects started happening. But I would like to go back to work. I don't know if I can do it or not because. I don't know.
What's the thing that you feel is stopping you right now?
My communication. When I talk with people, when I talk with people, I might say, okay, talking to somebody in a problem, but when in front of my customers, it gets harder. Yeah, so.
Well, we will hope that with training you over the next several weeks, we'll be able to make some inroads into making speech come easier for you.
Yeah.
And we'll see what it's like in the long run.
Yeah. I guess I was a little unsure what was going to happen, but it worked out, Yeah. I'll miss it. The training itself, Well, I was nice because I like to nap in the afternoon, but when I came here, I was like I was under the impression that I would think that I wasn't gonna get any better. But then as we kept going on, I felt like things are changing. I think for me it's changed. I think I'm talking more. I find myself like I was speaking more in the book club, and things that I was doing, but again, I'm not sure if the feedback was working or not. But in my experience, people I know, they said, hey, you're sounding different now, or you're speaking more. The first thing that I noticed was my sleeping. I go to bed like 2:30 in the morning every day, but then I would wake up at 7 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. So it wasn't getting much. Then I started working with you, and right away it just 11 o'clock I go to sleep and wake up at 6. The other thing that helped me was the book club. I speak more with the book club, and I communicate more with the book club. Mike? Yeah. He told me, he goes, you sound better.
Yeah.
You sound like you're something. He said you sounded better. Susan, a girl work with, she was like, you're getting better, But I'm getting better because of biofeedback. I'm getting better because I'm talking more. I'm getting better because of other things happening. That's what I don't know.
Right.
But I gotta say, I am talking more, and and it seems like it seems like it's working. Friends of ours, Richard and SB, they said the same thing. You sound like you're speaking more. Like right now, I'm talking normal. I am talking normal. I don't know why, but it's something. Other friends, Joe and Felisa, they say the same thing. You're talking more. You're more precise when you're talking, and stuff like that. So they feed underprivileged and homeless people. And I went there Tuesday and Wednesday morning from 9 o'clock to like 12. So it was pretty interesting. I give package the food for people under they have that are below that don't make a lot of money or don't have whatever. So and we give them clothes and stuff like that, and also homeless people. They give clothes and food also, but it's okay. But I got tired of it because other issues. But I think in time I will go back. Well, it was interesting. It really was. My ex boss, I ran to him.
Yeah.
Right, like Mike Christianberry, like wow, and it was interesting to see him say. He goes, give me a hug and everything, and
That's awesome.
So I saw a lot of people. Though the show has it's like back in 7 years ago it was big. LA show was big. Now it got a lot smaller.
Oh.
But it was okay. It was was interesting, to be there. My boss, we went down to the Solar Power International, and I met with him, had lunch together, and he said, he goes, you guys have worked for us like 3 days out of the week, I said, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I'm not sure yet, because I'm talking right now, like, okay,
Great.
but it's in this other realm of this technical realm, or the other type of solar stuff. There's more the words that I can't even talk. I used to talk before, but now I can't talk it. But it's something I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about. Well, I would tell him to do it, it can't hurt, that's what Mike told me. It can't hurt.
I was excited that there was, because he had talked about it for a few months before it took a little while for it to actually happen. But I was excited that, there was something else. I wasn't sure what that meant. And I was a little bit apprehensive that what if nothing happens? Because I knew he'd be disappointed, because he had been really, you want the cure, you want the magic pill. So definitely the sleep. He definitely, within the first 2 sessions, he would be up all the time. First of all, he wouldn't go to bed. I'd go to bed, didn't matter what time, 10, 11 o'clock, and okay, I'll be there in a minute. And I would wake up 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he'd be over watching TV. Once in a while, he'd kind of be dozed off, but the minute I walked in, so he wasn't asleep, he was just kind of dozing, and he would have the TV on till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd get up at 6 o'clock, and he'd get up with me, and I'd say, are you napping? And he'd say, no, I'm not napping. And it just his sleep was horrible, really bad, and affected me, because then I'd get up to go check, like, is he okay? Where's he at? And he was watching TV. Now he sleeps really well.
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh yeah, all the time. One of my bosses at work, we were at a service, and he talked to Dean, and then the next day he said, I just wanted to hug him. Oh my God, he's doing so well. He said, when we first met, we had gone out somewhere in Long Beach, dinner or something. He's like, he didn't say much at all. It was just kind of like, we had conversation. He's like, now I want to go out with him. He was like, really? And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, he has really, whatever it is that he's doing, that's really working for him. So that's someone who doesn't really know him, didn't really know him before, but didn't know him prior to the stroke.
Right.
Met him after the stroke, but so that's kind of, I felt that was a good gauge.
Yeah.
Because people who knew him prior, obviously it's completely different.
Right.
But someone who met him after the stroke and saw the difference,
right,
even during that, I thought that was a good testament. Our friends, who come over, they are always saying, he's talking really well. He's talking really well. My mom says that every so often, like we'll have had dinner, or we'll have had something where we're all, and then she'll kind of pull me aside and she'll say, he's really talking really well. He's talking a lot. People will always whisper that to me. Dean's doing really well. Wow, is he talking? Absolutely. I think it helped him, just not only the speaking part, but that helps him personally. Like, it lifts his spirits. He feels better. He feels more empowered to go out there and talk, or try to talk, or whatever. He doesn't get as hung up as he did before. He doesn't need me as much as he needed me before. I noticed not once earlier while you were talking to him did he turn over to try to get me to give him the word that he was looking for. He just kind of tries to plow through it and rephrase himself and I think that, if nothing else, that's big. Absolutely do it. Do it early on. I don't think this is something that you need to wait. There is looking back, I realize there is a process. You have to go through the first speech therapy and all the therapies before you got, and then go to group and then go out on your own. There is a process in order to get there, but this didn't seem like that kind of process because there's not anything he has to do. It almost happens for him. So I would say you could do this as soon as you get out of the hospital. You could do it in the hospital if there's such a thing. In retrospect, if I had known, if it had been available, if it had been one of those things, because I did a lot of research and it wasn't out there, but had I known about it, I would say do it, like whatever it takes to get it, because I think they say the sooner you get on that therapy, the sooner you do it, the better off you are, the closer, the less of the gap there is. And if this helps you get there because you feel better emotionally too, your heart, your whole being is in the right place, right, you're gonna get to the speech a lot faster. I hope this works for a lot of people. I think it will. I think people just need to give it a shot. It sounds a little weird to begin with, you gotta admit, but it works. I think it works. NeurOptimal was wonderful. It was what he needed. It worked for him. I think it worked for him. Well, I think we are there though. Oh, yeah. I think it's a matter of him deciding that that's what he wants to do. I don't think we didn't get to a place where he went to that show. He went by himself. He met with all these clients. He met with his old boss. He spent the whole day with them. He got to a place where he could do that. Does he still want to do that? I don't know that that's really what he wants to do. And my thing to him was, why don't you try it out for a little bit? Don't commit to that. He did get to a place that he wanted to get to. He's not quite ready to jump in the water, okay, but the pool is there.
So NeurOptimal was a good thing.
NeurOptimal was a great thing.
Awesome.